Hello and welcome to the NHL Best Bets. Yesterday there were a lot of games and two picks that were not so great from our side. Chicago Columbus was under in our picks, but it's never a very good case when one team scores twice in the first 5 minutes. So it was somehow under-like game, but goalkeepers were not playing extremely well, especially the Latvian Elvis in Columbus, and then the end result was 4-3 for Chicago Blackhawks, so not under this time. And then Edmonton-Calgary. Edmonton decided not to show up, only 17 shots from the high-octane offense that is usually carrying the team to the win, and this time Calgary was just better by 5-0 goals. Tommy, what's your take out of these lousy bets?
Can't really defend myself after red only. Minus 200, not a good result, but I think in Calgary the curse of Saddle Dome seems to be lifted. So now Calgary managed to score goals. They managed to shut down the first line of Edmonton. And of course, when Oilers put all their eggs in one basket, that basket needs to be productive. They need to create the chances and take the game for the team. Now they couldn't do anything, so Calgary deservedly took 5-0 victory. So very, very bad game from Edmonton, especially in the second period where Calgary scored most of their goals. Edmonton was nowhere to be seen. So I think there is a lot of mirrors in Edmonton locker room after this game, but a good win for Calgary, very bad pick from us. So Edmonton did not look like the team that are going to be pushing for the playoffs and pushing for the Stanley Cup. So a little bit of a worrying effort there. And then the other game, the under, I would still take this game as an under any day. Both goaltenders didn't have the best day this time. Lankinen for Chicago and Elvis Merzlikins for Columbus. They are better goaltenders than these. A couple of very easy goals for both teams, but also net front presence by the defense in both ends, non-existent. So there were a couple of rebounds that were easily put into the net. So I would say if you take off one goal each, would be a much more justified result for this game, and then it would have been an under. So 54 shots altogether. If you count from there, it should be under 5.5 goals as well. But this time a little bit too many goals to start the game, so that looked bad from early on.
Well, yesterday we discussed a few other games, especially these back-to-back games. Winnipeg showed in Montreal that they are not any kind of pushover, and Montreal maybe is declining to the level of what we have been expecting from the start of the season.
Yeah, definitely Winnipeg, one of the teams that we've been rooting for from the beginning, still a very undervalued by the odds makers. So we find excellent value many times for the Winnipeg team. I think now they have shown already that they can match Montreal. They can fight with Toronto and Edmonton as well in that division. So I think Winnipeg look like the most balanced team at the moment, with Toronto having certain issues in the defense. I think we keep on picking Jets whenever we have the chance, and they keep on winning. So it's looking very good for us.
Other back-to-back game, Minnesota in St. Louis. This time it was some kind of fight from the Minnesota, but not enough at the end because in overtime St. Louis scored the game winner 3-2 after they had tied the game just 50 seconds before end of the regular time. So it looked like Minnesota would pull the victory, but at the end it wasn't enough.
Yeah, have to admit that hurt a bit when St. Louis first equalized and then went ahead to win it. But this was a game that we expected the previous one to be as well. So very tight affair, battling kind of game, playoff-like, very close encounter in every regard. So too bad for Minnesota that they didn't manage to win it. But a good lesson as well. The game lasts at least for 60 minutes, and if it doesn't, it continues in even numbers. So you have to be aware all the time and play until the final whistle in these games.
How about our simulations? How was the Saturday night for the machine?
It was decent. We made a little bit of a deficit here, -75, but we got good profit from a couple of games. Philadelphia beating Boston with +120 profit, and the same thing in Montreal, Winnipeg 130 profit. So very happy about those. And then the close games that we did not get right was Carolina lost to Detroit in the extra time. So probably no one did predict that one. And also Chicago Columbus game we had going for the home team with a bigger value. But I would say a decent number still, even if the overall is a little bit in the minus, and exactly the same games were also in the money line category. So this time, no differences there.
Tonight there is a few postponed games to be played. We have actually 7 games in our schedule, and let's go through the picks that we made for the games. So Washington goes to Boston. These rivals have played quite a few times. Pretty equal game overall. Washington gets +100 odds, so even odds there, and their track record in history has been a good match with the Boston, so there is a good value for this road team. And then Dallas continues their trip to Nashville. They won convincingly yesterday, Florida, and Nashville got beaten by Tampa Bay. Now Dallas is again even money, but simulations predict them to be clear winner here. So 2 + 100 odds selected for Sunday night.
Yeah, 50-50 +100, a little bit of a profit. Both games are more likely to be won by the visitors according to the simulation. So let's take a look at Nashville-Dallas. Dallas has the chance of 60% in the simulations, while the odds indicated around a 50% +100 odds. Dallas beat Nashville a couple of nights ago, 1-4 in Tennessee. They beat Florida last night. They beat Chicago just before it. So Dallas has now found the way to win these games. They've been playing okay all season, but they have lost a couple of games that they shouldn't, and then suddenly won in streaks. So I do think that now they are looking much more like contenders, even without a couple of their top guys. But now the younger players have stepped up, and they're playing like seasoned veterans. Roope Hintz, Jason Robertson, the first line of Dallas was the one that took down Florida yesterday. So if they keep on going, Nashville will have very hard time, even if Nashville has also been playing a little bit better than they were early on. It's going to be a tight matchup, but 60% by the simulations for Dallas is good enough for us to play this game. And then in Boston, Washington visiting, it's been a very even matchup throughout the years. 2 of the top teams in the Eastern Conference. And I do think that Boston is now struggling a little bit. We've seen them get beaten by lesser teams than Washington is. They lost to Philadelphia last night. Washington went on to win in Buffalo in a game that they should have taken easily, but let go a little bit. But this time, when you're facing Boston in Boston, you're not gonna let the home team do anything. So you're gonna be playing as aggressive, as physical as you can, and that's something that the Capitals can do to match Boston. So this moment, Capitals is a better team than Boston is. Boston has not been as good as we have predicted and many have predicted. So I think with these odds again, Capitals is the way to go. In simulations, we have 58% for the road team. And like you mentioned, +100 means that it's a profitable bet.
If we go back to Dallas-Nashville game, that's one of the interesting pairings in Central Division. I think it's Discovery Central Division. Nashville is currently 4th, Dallas is 6th, but they have played 3 games less than Nashville, and there's a 5 points difference between these 2 teams. So this is quite clearly this kind of 4-point game that we've seen swinging, let's say, pendulum in these playoff-bound teams. So there's Chicago between these two teams, and maybe Columbus have still some kind of chances if they start to play like they played last night and improve a few notch there. But Nashville and Dallas are maybe the ones that are fighting for the last spot in Central Division.
Yeah, it definitely looks like that. Nashville found their game in the 11th hour. If they would have taken any longer, they would have been out. But now they are in the fourth spot. They are fighting for a chance. And Dallas, of course, a couple of games less played due to the COVID thing. So they will have very packed schedule for the last month of the regular season. So let's see if that affects them. But at least for now, it looks like they are able to run with all four lines, play pretty economic ice hockey and still win the game. So they have to rely on their defense. They have to rely on their goaltender, but they are now producing enough goals to win these games. So they have allowed only one goal in each of the two last games they played, which is a good sign for the team like Dallas that is not as offensive, like, let's say, if you compare to Toronto or a couple of the other teams. So this is how Dallas are able to win, and I do think that they will beat Nashville tonight.
Simulations have provided interesting results out of tonight's games because, like I said, there's 7 games and only one Buffalo visiting Philadelphia has some value for home team, but every other game has the value for visitor, and it's the odds are fluctuating somewhere between 200 and plus 225 when Arizona plays in Vegas, second game in a row, and then Colorado minus 385 when they are facing Anaheim. So maybe the best team in the league and the last or second last team in the league are facing each other. So do you think tonight would be the night when it's good to make this 6-game parlay for the visitors?
It's never a good time to make a 6-game parlay, but yeah, according to the simulations, that's true that it's a very road favored slate tonight, which is interesting. This hasn't happened before, but I do think that in this case and at this point of the season, it doesn't make that much of a difference if you're a home team or a road team, because these teams have already faced each other, I don't know, 5 to 6 times already. So they are familiar with how the other team plays. They probably faced already home and away. So it's not as big difference maker as it would be in a normal regular season when you only meet maybe once every 2-3 months, if that. So I do think now that the road teams are the better teams at this moment. So it will be interesting to see. Let's see if every single game of these will end up in the road victory, except for that that one that we have marked as Buffalo having some value.
Yeah, it's not a surprise that Buffalo doesn't have any value in these games, but interesting game in New York. We few nights ago picked Islanders against Rangers in Long Island. Now Rangers are the favorite in our simulations to win second in a row on the road against Islanders. That is well known for great back-to-back team. And now they've lost one, so it would be very, very, let's say, guts-taking bet to bet against Washington second time in a row for the second defeat.
Yeah, for the Islanders, you mean? But yeah, that's something that is very interesting in the simulations, that now we have Rangers as the favorite. When the first game we did have Islanders. This is probably due to the fact that Rangers have now they've created a lot of chances throughout the season, but now they actually scored a lot better in the couple of the last games. They scored 8 goals against Pittsburgh, then they scored 4 goals now against Islanders. So against these teams that are not lacking a lot of goals, Rangers were able to convert their chances. So I do think that this is one of the trends that turns the tables towards the Rangers. We do have them 52% favorite, so it's not a very clear setup here, but with nice value of plus 120 odds, you can pick Rangers if you like a bit of a risk.
Let's see how that risk pays out tonight, and naturally we follow all the other 6 games and see how the visitors are doing, except Buffalo.
Yeah, that's a good bet, not Buffalo.
Bet against Buffalo and make a lot of money. Is that the trend for the season?
Yeah, that seems to be the case. See you tomorrow.
See you.